Okay, now that we've factored with tiles and with the box method, now we're going to go ahead and try factoring by grouping. To factor by grouping, you've got to have it in standard form. Standard form means it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, if it's not in that order, then you're going to kind of get thrown off from the beginning. To figure out our missing numbers, we're going to take the first and the last and we're going to multiply them. 2 times 2 is 4. We're going to take our middle term and put it in the bottom. Our missing numbers will multiply to give us 4 and combine to give us 5. So you're looking for the factors of 4. 1 and 4 will multiply to give me 4, and 1 plus 4 gives me 5. So now we're going to take our middle term, the 5x, and we're going to rewrite it. We're going to take 2x squared, and then the end is plus 2. And instead of writing 5x, we're going to replace it with the x and a 4x. So we replaced it with those two values we just found, and we remembered to put the x. Now we want to go ahead and group these. To group these, all you're going to simply do is take your first two terms and you're going to put them in parentheses. You're going to take your last two terms, put in parentheses, put a plus in between. Make sure you keep your sign with that third term. I'm now looking for, what do the first two terms have in common? What's the greatest common factor, the biggest thing they have in common? And in this case, it's going to be x. So I'm going to divide both of these by x. Well, 2x squared divided by x leaves me with 2x. X divided by x is 1. The last one, the biggest thing they have in common would be 2. So I'm going to divide both of those by 2. 4x divided by 2 is 2x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. What must happen is your parentheses have to be the same. If they are not the same, you have a problem. Go look at it again. One of your factors will be what is in the parentheses. The other factor will be the two things on the outside of the parentheses, so x plus 2. And those are going to be the factors for our standard form equation above. So let's try another. We would take 4 times 4, and we'll get 16. We'll take our middle term, which is what we're going to break in two, and negative 17. 16 and 1, both of them have to be negative. Negative 16 times negative 1 gives me 16. Negative 16 combined with negative 1 gives me negative 17. So now I'll do 4n squared, big O blank, plus 4. I need negative 16n, and then I need negative n. Those were those two values right there. I'm going to go ahead and group them, put a plus sign in between. The biggest thing these two have in common is 4n. So that means I got 4n. 4n goes to 4n squared, leaving me with an n. Oops, I forgot my n over here. I'm sorry. Let's try that again. 4n, parentheses. And then I got 4n goes into 16n minus 4 times because it's negative 16. Over here, the thing they're going to have in common, you might look and think they have nothing. But remember, the parentheses have to be the same. And for that to happen, I'm actually going to have to divide this by negative 1. Negative n divided by negative 1 is n. 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. Notice my parentheses are the same. So I have y equals n minus 4. And then my other one would be 4n minus 1. Remember, your parentheses are one of them, and your outsiders are the other. Intercept form would be written just like this. Let's try yet another. 4 times negative 15, that goes at the top, which is negative 60. 7 goes in the bottom. So you're looking for two factors of 60 that will combine to give you 7. 12 and 5, so long as 5 is negative, 12 times negative 5 gives you negative 60. 12 minus 5 gives you 7. So that means we got 4x squared plus 12x minus 5x minus 15. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to group our first two terms and our last two terms. The first two terms have a 4x in common, so I'm going to factor out a 4x in each one, leaving me with an x plus 3. The last two have a negative 5 in common. So I will factor those out, leaving me with x plus 3. Factored form, things that factor. Factored form will be x plus 3, whatever's in the parentheses, and then whatever's on the outside, 4x minus 5. So notice, factored form and intercept form are the exact same form. We got one more. So here's like the reasoning behind it. We actually want to get to a solution. So let's see, 6 times negative 35 is negative 210. And then I got negative 11 I'd put on the bottom. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me negative 210 and combine to give me negative 11. So looking at that, I think 21 and 10. Let 21 be negative. Negative 21 times 10 is negative 210. Negative 21 plus 10 gives you negative 11. So I got 6x squared minus 21x plus 10x minus 35. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to group my front two and my back two, put a plus sign in between. I'm interested in what the first two have in common, which is going to be 3x. That's going to leave me with 2x minus 7. The back two both have a 5 in common. So I got plus 5, and I got a 2x minus 7. So in this scenario, one of your factors is 2x minus 7, and the other one is 3x plus 5. So here's the solving part. I am interested in finding where the solutions are. Solutions are at the x-axis, where y equals 0. So I'm going to let y equal 0. And to do that, I'm going to take each of my factors and I'm going to set them equal to 0. So in this case, if I were to solve, I'd add 7 to both sides, and then I'd divide by 2, giving me 7 halves or 3 1/2. If I plotted x equals 3 1/2, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, halfway in between. Okay? Then, if I subtracted 5 from both sides and divided by 3, I'd get negative 5/3. Well, negative 5/3 falls between negative 1 and negative 2, so right around in here. So that's your purpose you're looking for. You're going to graph them. It may be answers to word problems, and that's why you have to factor it. With this being said, we would then go ahead and find our axis of symmetry. These are really ugly numbers, so we're just going to do a rough sketch on this. I'm interested in, is it a positive, a concave up, or a concave down? And if you go back and look at our original, we had a 6, which is positive, which means it's concave concave up. And since it's 6, you know it's going to be really skinny. So this thing really would be really way down here. Okay, because it's going to go up very fast. So anyway, that would be finding your factors. In other words, where's it going to cross the x-axis? You have a little practice. Remember, every once in a while you can't find these missing numbers, and when that happens, probably means you're going to have to use the quadratic formula, and we'll do that at a little later date.